Let's bring in Todd Blackledge. He played the position, won a national title at Penn State, former NFL quarterback, and he will be there, NBC, Big Ten Saturday night, South Bend. It'll be Catherine Tappan, Noah Eagle. Todd will be in the booth with them, and the festivities start tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern on NBC and Peacock. Todd, let me start there with what Andy Staples was saying. The challenge of coming into the NFL where quarterbacks have receivers open as opposed to a quarterback who has to throw his receivers open.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting point. I mean, you still have to have basic mechanics and fundamentals to be an accurate thrower, even if you don't have to fit in all tight windows and you have guys getting open. You still have to put the ball in the right spot. I think in the case of a Brock Purdy, he also, he didn't necessarily have the ability to run, extend plays, do all that kind of things the way a Justin Fields does. And so he had to make sure that he was good with his timing, good with his accuracy, good with his anticipation, just to be good, period, as a college quarterback. And certainly that's translated well for him in the NFL too.
So what's Justin Fields' issue?
I haven't watched enough to know. I mean, obviously it seemed like he and the offensive staff need to be on the same page. They need to understand, okay, these are the things I do well. Let's build around that. These are the things I don't like. And they just need to get on the same page and make sure that they are calling plays that he can be successful at and that he feels confident and comfortable in. And so I think it's a combination. I think it's him maybe, locking in a little bit more and becoming more accurate and more in tune to what it takes to be a high-level quarterback. And then I think the coaching staff and the play calling need to work in conjunction with him in a higher way.
How much of an advantage is Sam Hartman's age?
I think it's a huge advantage. I mean, in fact, just watching him on the practice field and just, his presence, it reminds me of the presence Stetson Bennett had with Georgia the last 2 years, an older guy. Now, Sam had way more playing experience than Stetson Bennett, but it's just that maturity that you're in a locker room with a lot of 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. And here's a guy who's played 50 games at the Division I level, the Power 5 level. And so he's got the beard. I mean, he looks older, and he acts older. And I think that's a calming presence on that football team.
How good is Marvin Harrison?
He's as good as I've seen. I mean, and I've seen some great Alabama wide receivers, some outstanding players at Ohio State before him. I don't know that I've seen anybody any better than Marvin. I mean, he is the complete package. I mean, he's big, he's extremely fast, he runs great routes, he has excellent hands. And I just think the ceiling for him is still out there. I think when he gets to the next level, he'll be an even better player.
But is there a comparison? We always like comps. Is he a Larry Fitzgerald or is he a Randy Moss? Or
I would say probably closer to Randy Moss. In my opinion, because of the speed, and because he does have that outstanding speed, that the long speed and on top of the quickness and the route running, which I think the route running and a lot of the nuances of being a wide receiver, he got from his dad, and was taught, because Marvin Sr. was an outstanding receiver and route runner, Hall of Famer. But Marvin Jr. is a bigger body, and typically it's harder for bigger body guys to be intricate route runners. And so that, to me, is one of the things that makes him very special.
Todd Blackledge will be on the call, NBC. It'll be Big Ten Saturday night. It'll be Ohio State at Notre Dame, and that'll be starting at 7:30 Eastern on NBC in Peacock. How sustainable is what Deion's doing at Colorado?
Well, at this point, I'd hate to bet against him, or say that he can't do anything, because it's amazing what he's done so far. The only thing I don't know, and because I've not covered one of his games, so I don't know the quality of depth that he has on his roster. And that's the thing you worry about, as the season goes on and you start playing conference games, do you get some guys dinged up? What's your depth like on your offense and defensive lines in particular? That's the biggest question I have. They're already without Travis Hunter, who was electrifying. They're going to be without him for, potentially for a game or two. But in terms of how well coached they are and the level that they execute at, I think I think they can compete with anybody right now. And I think Shedeur Sanders is in a conference full of great quarterbacks. What the conference formerly known as the Pac-12. I mean, he fits right in that mold.
NIL or transfer portal having a bigger impact on college football?
I think the NIL. I think both for sure, but I think the NIL because at least with the transfer portal, it's like everybody's playing with the same deck of cards, and with the NIL, it's kind of all over the place, and some places are doing more with it, some are doing less, some are allowed to do more, some are allowed to do less, and so I think there's more inequities, right now because there's no real oversight on it from a national perspective. So I think it's having a bigger impact right now than the portal. But from the standpoint of redoing a roster and reshaping a team, you can get a lot done with the portal. And instead of having to wait on high school kids to develop, you can go find guys that have, their resume on tape of playing at that level and plug and play a lot easier.
Well, you have these old school coaches like Dabo Swinney. He doesn't believe in, NIL, the anti-transfer portal. At some point, I don't know. Can you survive without embracing NIL and transfer portal?
No, and I know Dabo has not wanted to really do a lot with the transfer portal. I do know they have NIL stuff going on at Clemson because I've done a couple games and I know some of the things that they're doing. But no, I think you have to embrace all those things because we're not going back to anything different. We're not going back to the way it was. The transfer portal is here. They will tweak it in terms of how many windows there are and how long those windows are where kids can jump in and out of the portal. But we're not going away from that. And NIL is not going anywhere either. In fact, it'll probably just continue to grow.
But could you imagine Joe Paterno, Woody Hayes, Bo Schembechler embracing NIL?
No, it would probably be enough to drive them out of the game. I don't think that they would want to be in the game with the kind of stuff that coaches have to deal with now because managing a roster is nothing like it used to be. Those old school coaches, they'd recruit a kid, redshirt most of their freshmen, have them for 5 years, and build their roster that way. Those days are way, way gone.
Great to talk to you as always. Have fun on Saturday night. Thank you, Todd.
Thanks, Dan. Take care.
Todd Blackledge. He'll be on the call with Noah Eagle, Catherine Tappan. It'll be Notre Dame and Ohio State, Saturday, 7:30 Eastern on NBC and Peacock.